Okay. Okay, so it's Chase and I continuing on NBA topics. And should the NBA do away with divisions and conferences? Is it even worth having divisions?
I don't think so. I think it's just getting too muddled, too complicated, and so I think that the teams that are strong, um, you know, 9 of the 10 best teams in the league are in the West, and so it's just too much. I mean, the best teams are not making the playoffs. I mean, this year it's going to be even more a bigger drastic change than it was last year. I mean, the East has had a winning record against the West in one of the last 16 years. And so the East has never performed very well against the West. And this year is it going to be even worse because two star players have come over to the West to make West teams even better. And so the I mean, I see probably two or three teams in the East making the playoffs with a losing record, and that is not good for the league. No one wants that. Those blowout wins against Eastern teams that really aren't that good either. I mean, there are going to be some crappy first round series in the East. I mean, the top four teams in the East are going to be Cleveland, Boston, and then who? I mean, Milwaukee
Probably
will probably,
Toronto and Washington.
yeah, Toronto, Washington, Milwaukee will be good, and so I just don't see a lot of teams being able to do well, and so they just have to do it. They have to make it more interesting, and so to delete conferences and to just blow it all up, and even keeping the conferences and keeping them playing that way, but for the playoffs, doing just a 16 seed, top 16 teams make the playoffs that's seeded that way, to where you could have matchups like Cleveland and Utah in the first round, or putting the best teams, the 16 best teams in the playoffs. That's what needs to happen.
Interestingly enough, last year, if they would have done this, there would have only been 7 Western Conference teams and 9 Eastern Conference teams due to
Mm-hmm.
record.
Yes.
And that's where I struggle, is because I think conferences are necessary strictly because everyone cannot play everyone the same amount.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the West plays the West more than they play the East. So the records are going to reflect that. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that the Eastern Conference, yeah, they had, was it three teams that were right at 41-41? But what would they have been if they would have had to play Golden State the same amount of times as, Portland?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where I struggle, is how are you going to make it the records equal with the conferences is kind
It's
of where I'm getting at.
Yeah, it's true, and that's where it's going to be difficult to try and rearrange the schedule because all the teams complain about travel, and which shouldn't be that much of a complaint now with chartered flights and all of that, and so the travel shouldn't be that big a deal, and with Eastern Conference teams playing Eastern Conference teams all the time, their records are going to be a little swollen because the Sixers playing against the Hornets. Like, they're not good teams. Either of them are not good teams, but one team has to win, and they play them 4 times. Where the Lakers and the Jazz have to play the Clippers and the Warriors and the Spurs 4 times. It's just it just doesn't equal out. So they'd have to either change the schedule, making it to where every team tries to play, keep divisions and keep divisions, the as they are, and have division championships and stuff like that, but trying mixing up more of who plays who, and trying to even up the amount of games you play against Eastern and Western Conference teams. And so I don't know how they'd do that, if they'd because they can't add more games to the season. The season's already long enough, but they'd have to figure out a way to even out the schedules.
Yeah, that's above my pay grade.
Yeah,
I'll let somebody
really.
figure it out, and then we'll talk about it in future date.
Yeah, really.